What's up, Sports Wars? This is Roy, the Bearded Bulldog, coming at you again with another college recap video. As you can see, I do have John in the house, my brother, also fellow admin with Sports Wars. How you doing this morning, John?
I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good. Didn't get to watch a lot of football yesterday because I had to help somebody drive like 2 hours to get some items. So,
And I appreciate that. I have a son on the way, and we had to get some stuff to help fill out his bedroom for his arrival.
that's the only reason I did it.
It's for his nephew.
Yeah.
All right. Now with that being said, we did have some good games in college football yesterday. All of the top five was active. They all had games. We're gonna jump right into it. We had number one Alabama facing off against I believe it was 22 ranked Texas A&M, 22nd ranked. This kind of went the same way it's gone for Alabama all year so far. Alabama jumped all over Texas A&M. It wasn't close. The final score, they won by 22, but it wasn't even that close. They scored. Texas A&M probably scored 10 meaningless points at the end after Alabama pretty much rested everyone. Any quick thoughts on this one? I know neither one of us really caught much of it because I think it was going on when we were doing our moving thing.
No, I mean the Texas A&M. I want to say they didn't show up at the second half, but they really didn't show up to the game. Yeah. Alabama jumped on them from the beginning, and I mean they didn't score in the fourth quarter. But Tua, man, I don't know, man. Like I want to be able to talk shit about the guy and say everybody's overhyping him, but I mean, shit.
He's showing it so far, man.
He's putting up some hell of a numbers, man.
He
threw 300. He threw almost 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. Alabama didn't have any turnovers this game, but had 9 penalties. I don't know what the penalties were, but
I don't know, man. It's Alabama's looking pretty tough. I'm wondering when their first test is going to come. Usually, you can count on a test from like Ole Miss or Texas A&M. I think Mississippi State sometimes gives them a little trouble. I know they gave them a little trouble last year. You can always count. You can usually count on Alabama kind of playing down to an opponent every now and then. Man, they haven't so far. 4 games in, and they've blown everybody out of the fucking water.
Yeah, I mean, they're averaging – I think this is their first game below 50 points. They had 45, and they beat Texas A&M across the board in all major stats, pass yards, rush yards, yards per play, first downs, and possessions. So –
yeah, man, it was a dominating performance. Saban doing Saban things. He just does what he does, man.
Yeah.
On to the Georgia-Missouri game. This one, I mostly caught highlights because I was at work. I did catch some of it. I know the Georgia defense looked good. The offense kind of struggled a little bit, but I see looking at the stats here, I say the offense struggled, but we had the leading passer and the leading rusher in the game. Jake Fromm threw for 3 touchdowns. Elijah Holyfield, yes, Evander Holyfield's son, is our running back. 14 carries, 90 yards. I mean, this game, it was the exact opposite of the Alabama Texas A&M game where it's 43-29. That score, it looks close. It was closer than it looked. And Missouri hung in there for a good little while, and then we just Georgia kind of just put their foot on the gas and held them down there at the end. So I'm glad we were able to escape with a win. It's always tough to go into Missouri and play. This is the second year in a row we've gone to Missouri, and it's been pretty much a shootout. So what you watched it? What were your thoughts on it?
I watched a good majority of it. Defense overall had some pretty decent plays. We had a block punt that got returned for a touchdown. Locke, excuse me. he had a couple turnovers to me that weren't his fault. It was on his receivers. One of them bounced off a shoulder pad, went like straight up in the air. Calvin Ridley's brother, was it Riley? Riley Ridley. He 8 receptions for 87 yards. He had a pretty decent play. I'm loving it, man. I would love nothing more than to see Bama again in the national championship. I don't want to look too far ahead, but we've got a pretty decent squad, and Kirby Smart's got these kids going in the right direction.
Absolutely. Well, I know the funny thing to me, what I kept seeing highlights from on Bleacher Report was there were a couple times during that game where Kirby kind of lost his shit, and they were never down. Georgia was never down.
I think that's Saban.
Yeah,
because Saban would do the same fucking thing. They'd be up 30, and a dude make a dumb play, and he'd chew his ass out on the sideline.
Saban demanded perfection. Still does.
Yeah.
Saban
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not. But I think there's a fine line between demanding perfection and still being able to have a good time, because you have to remember these are college kids, man. These are 18, 19, 20-year-olds. This isn't a job yet. So I mean, you still want to, and Kirby's shown that he can balance it. I mean, with the turnover pads last year, the spiked shoulder pads.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, he's shown he can still have a good time, and Kirby was a safety at Georgia, so he's fucking nuts. Moving on to the next game, this one wasn't particularly close. Clemson, number 3 Clemson, played Georgia Tech. Sorry, Yellow Jackets. They beat them 49-21. There's not really much that we can really say about this one.
Other than Georgia Tech had 57 passing yards the entire game.
Yeah, it was the leading passer in that game was the Clemson quarterback. He threw for 176 yards. That's it. So it was pretty standard. Clemson did their thing. Georgia Tech just could not hang, man.
No, I mean, but I don't think anybody went into this game thinking that this is going to be close.
No.
I mean, granted, it's an ACC division game. I
know Georgia Tech's usually good for once every couple of years to kind of sneak one of these in when they shouldn't. Did they beat Florida State a couple of years ago when everybody was like,
yeah, but I mean, usually most of the ones they sneak in are on our ass.
Yeah. But I know that was kind of touching on that one quick. Nothing really of note happened.
No. Best thing Georgia Tech did was hold the ball longer than Clemson.
Yeah. Moving on to number 4 Ohio State, hosted Tulane. This was Urban Meyer's comeback game.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. They beat Tulane 49-6. If you like an exciting first half of football, then that's what you got out of this one. It was 42-6 by the end of the half, and another touchdown wasn't scored until the fourth quarter. Honestly, I think this is a bad thing for Ohio State. They scored everything in the first half and didn't kind of space it out over 4 quarters. They've got a really big game coming up next week. We'll actually touch on that in a second. I mean,
did any of the starters play in the second half, though, being up that high? I didn't watch the game. I don't give a shit about the game. So, again, and also it's Tulane. Come on.
I mean, everybody likes to clown the SEC for some of the shit teams that we schedule. But nobody ever seems to come after Ohio State for fucking Tulane and Youngstown State and Miami, Ohio.
I don't know if it's people coming after the SEC as much as they do Alabama. I think Alabama gets the most criticism.
They come after whoever the top teams are in the SEC. They usually come after all of us. They come after Georgia. I've seen them come after Auburn. Auburn got clowned a lot last year for scheduling Mercer. So, I mean, shout out to the Mercer Bears. That's actually my hometown team. My dad's alma mater, Mercer Bears. But yeah, Auburn caught a lot of shit last year for scheduling Mercer. Clemson scheduled Mercer, I want to say the same year or the year before, and they didn't catch anywhere near the shit. Moving on to the next one, the shocking surprise decent game in the top 5. If you would have told me this game was going to be the one that was going to drive people nuts and make them worry about losing their bets, I wouldn't have believed you. Oklahoma, number 5, Oklahoma needed overtime.
Oh yeah,
needed overtime to beat Army. 28-21.
Struggle.
The struggle plate of a win. The most interesting thing, besides Oklahoma struggling with that triple option, apparently this game was on pay-per-view. This game was
what?
Yes, this game was on a pay-per-view channel.
You had to pay for it?
Yes.
Why would somebody pay for that game?
It gets even better. Apparently, someone who paid for it decided to stream it live on Twitch. And it was the second most viewed stream, I think. I forget the second most viewed stream this year.
Wow.
So it was pretty crazy. Whoever that streamer was, he just upped his. I don't know how the fuck they monetize that, but he definitely helped himself.
They won't. They will. It's lucky his shit won't get shut down because of that.
Yeah. But yeah, Oklahoma struggled. That triple option gave them fits. Nobody pulled away in this, man. I mean, Oklahoma was up 21-14 at the half. By the end of the third, Army tied it, and nobody scored again until overtime. That triple option is if you're running the triple option and you have the lead, it will suck all the wind out of a stadium. If you're having to beat it, having to come back, I mean, the Army dominated the time of possession here. Like it's not even close. They dominated the time. From what I was reading, it was.
Here, I'll pull it up right now. I wasn't going to pull the stats up because I thought it was a. Holy shit. 43 minutes and 44 seconds to 16 minutes and 16 seconds.
Yeah. Triple option.
Wow. And they threw 27 passing yards.
Yeah.
But had 339 rushing yards.
They threw 9 passes. Army threw 9 passes. Now, Oklahoma only threw 15, but I mean, the Army had 2 different guys with 20-plus rushing attempts. They almost stuck one out. Army's not a bad team. Every few years, Army will sneak one in and get a big upset. Nobody was expecting it to be Oklahoma, though. Let's see, kind of glossing over some of the other top 20 matchups between ranked teams, or top 25 matchups between ranked teams. Stanford needed overtime. Number 7, Stanford needed overtime to come back to beat Oregon. Oregon was up big and blew it. Let's see. We also have the biggest upset of the year so far.
I can agree with that.
Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech by 2 touchdowns. Old Dominion scored 28 points in the fourth quarter. Holy shit. What's funny is apparently Old Dominion a couple years ago had a new scoreboard installed at their home stadium, and they, in the announcement of it, they predicted a victory over Virginia Tech. And Virginia Tech took a picture of that tweet and was like, ha, 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 wishful thinking. And then it happened.
Please tell me that was shared in the group.
One of my favorite groups on Facebook, everybody look up Freezing Cold Takes. It was in that group. It's amazing. I say group. It's not a group. It's a page. They just share. Sports is one of those things where the hot takes are highlighted, and when you fuck it up terribly, that's when you go to Freezing Cold Takes. Let's see. Kentucky beat Mississippi State. Kentucky is a team I'm keeping an eye on because they're in the SEC East, along with my Bulldogs. but Kentucky's got a while to go. We don't play each other for like 5 more weeks at least. Kentucky's got a ways to go before I'm really going to keep an eye on them. Texas Tech beat the shit out of Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was ranked 15th, and they were at home. Texas beat TCU. Now, it was a home game for Texas, but they beat TCU by 15, 31-16. It's a good win for Texas. I know there's with Tom Herman starting to get that team hopefully back on the right track. College football is more fun when Texas is doing well, and that Red River – fuck it, I'm calling it Red River Shootout, not the Red River Rivalry. Let's see. Going through
Purdue beat Boston College 30-13.
So I mean, there was some big games this weekend. Some surprisingly good ones, some not so good ones. Looking at you, Texas A&M. Ones that should have been better than what they were. Also looking at you, Virginia Tech. What the fuck? Old Dominion? They're not even a basketball school.
Did we talk about Texas Tech beating the shit out of Oklahoma State at home?
We did. We kind of glossed over it. Now we gonna go straight to next week's games. There's actually a handful of really good games next weekend. I'm gonna just kind of go down the list. We're going to start this Saturday, the Georgia-Tennessee. I know I like touching on Georgia just because it's my team. But this used to be a really big rivalry game. I'm not sure where Tennessee's head's going to be at after having their shit kicked in by Florida last week or this weekend. It's in Sanford Stadium. It's between the hedges. I don't really know what to – I'm hoping for another game like last year where we just beat the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Number 10, Washington versus number 25, BYU. That's in Seattle.
Ohio State, Penn State. It's at Penn State.
Yep, that's the game that's been circled. That's why Urban Meyer only got a 3-game suspension and not a 4-game, because they wanted him to come in and coach the warm-up. Another one of note that we should of a team that already has one kind of big, I don't say upset, but kind of a big win this year. Syracuse is playing at Clemson. Syracuse is they beat Florida State, which I know Florida State's having a down year, but still on name recognition alone, that's kind of a big win.
I mean, is that really a big game though?
What,
obviously, if Syracuse can go in and beat Clemson, that'd be a huge. But yeah. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, nobody saw them beating Florida State either.
But it's Florida State, and they suck.
They suck this year. Let's see. Florida at Mississippi State, that ought to be interesting. Let's see.
Stanford and Notre Dame.
Stanford at Notre Dame, two top 10 matchup. The second of 2 different top 10 matchups. Like I said, you did say Ohio State, Penn State. That's in Beaver Stadium.
BYU and Washington. BYU 25, Washington 10.
So yeah, there's a handful of good games this weekend, or upcoming. Let us know in the comments which ones you're looking forward to. Let us know what when we get further into the season, we're going to start taking the playoff predictions. I'm not doing it the first month of the season because we all know shit changes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Other than Alabama, of course.
Yeah. Let's see what just kind of to close this out for us today. Which game are you looking forward to most this weekend?
This weekend coming up.
Yeah.
Georgia, Tennessee, man. Like, it's an SEC game. I understand that Tennessee is not doing good, but I mean, anytime you play an SEC team, shit could flip. So I'll keep my eye on that one. Outside of that particular game, I'd like to see Penn State knock off Ohio State, and I'd like to see Stanford beat the shit out of Notre Dame because I think Notre Dame continues to be overrated.
I agree. I think the same thing that to me, Notre Dame and Ohio State kind of both fall in the same category. ESPN really wants them to be good, so much so that they constantly push both teams on us. I would love to watch both of them kind of get their ass kicked. That's I'm looking forward to about the same. Like I said, Georgia, Tennessee. That should be mildly entertaining. I'm sorry, West Coast college football just doesn't really do it for me.
No.
BYU, Washington. I know Notre Dame's not West Coast, but Stanford is. So I don't really have I don't really care if Stanford wins or loses.
Your goddamn games start too late.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm
not watching the kickoff starting at 10:30.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask all the West Coast people. We got any West Coast people in the group? How the fuck do you deal with like just at this point, just talking about pro football? My whole life, kickoff is at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. How the fuck do y'all deal with and that's what West Coast time? That's what
3 hours ahead, 3 hours behind us. I mean ahead of us. No,
10
behind
11?
us. Yes.
So 10 a.m. You're dealing with a 10 a.m. kickoff. Do y'all set an alarm to watch the pregame at 9 a.m.? Man, shit on that. I can't do that. Like our football lunches are like hot wings and chips and shit. Y'all are having
football breakfast,
avocado toast and frittatas and shit.
Yeah.
Get at us below. Let us know how y'all deal with the time difference. And like I said, man, it's crazy to me to think like AM football. So, but then again, I'm sure it's y'all. It's crazy. Y'all crazy.
Imagine Hawaii watching pro football.
Shit, you couldn't. I'm sure it's crazy to y'all to think that like the USC Arizona game next weekend it has a 10:30 kickoff for us. That's 7:30 for y'all. So that's crazy. So sign up below. Let us know how that works out for y'all. We're fixing to get off and enjoy
this Saints Falcons game.
Yeah, we're gonna watch the NFL Sunday. Y'all take it easy.